So if you're an overthinker, you'll really resonate with what I'm about to say here because today all I've done is overthink. And it typically happens to either people who procrastinate or people who are very, very perfectionist. And I'm the latter. I'm 18, I work remote, I make a good amount of money, and yet I feel like I'm nowhere near where I should be. And although everybody around me tells me how well I'm doing and says that I'm ahead of the curve and for 18 I'm so successful, smart, intelligent, whatever, I just never feel enough. And it's a good thing in the sense that it pushes me and I'm always wanting more, I'm having ambition, but it's a bad thing in the sense that I never fully get to enjoy life. And so this perspective is not always beneficial, I guess. And so if this happens to you, I have something to say about it. And it's the fact that you truly don't realize how good your life is until it gets bad. And sometimes when we grow and when we become more successful, whether that be with money, whether that be with, women, anything, honestly, we forget where we came from and we forget how bad it used to be. So for example, with me, I make $4,000 about per month now. And before I used to make zero. And my mom used to be stressing about rent. I used to be stressing about going out to eat. I used to be stressing about whether I could pay for my girlfriend's food or not. And now I don't have that stress at all. And it's because I am blessed to be able to make that amount of money. And it's not a lot, obviously, but it relieves stress. But I'm always focused on the next step. Now I'm focused on how can I get to $6,000, $10,000 a month? How can I start my own business? How can I start doing this? How can I start doing that? And I forget how bad it used to be and how much in the span of 4 to 5 months I've grown, how much I've overcome, and more importantly, where I am now. And so, challenge you. Think where you are now and look back to where you were a few months ago, hell, even a few years ago. And if you've done things right so far, you'll realize the massive fucking improvements you've made in your life. Every time you start getting these limiting beliefs of I'm not enough, I should be farther than I am, think about how far you've come. Really, if you have to even journal about it, to really reflect on it, I encourage you to do so because it's the most powerful thing you can do is give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself your flowers, and give yourself perspective of what's yet to come. Because if you're young like me, 18, and you've achieved so much, then imagine what's left to achieve. I mean, the world is in your hands, quite literally. So it's an exciting thing to think about. But how do you correlate this with not losing your ambition and becoming comfortable where you're at? Because I've also been guilty of that. I'm the first to say so. I've been noticing lately that since my situation isn't as bad as it was, I've almost become comfortable. And so how do you find ways to keep going to the next goal without becoming too focused on it to the point where you feel like you're shit because you're at where you're at? And it's something that the Stoics were very good at. It's called virtue. So I talked about this in my last video. A gambler is extremely happy when he's gambling. So there was this philosopher that said, okay, let's take a gambler, and if you give him all the money in the world, you give him the opportunity to win every single time he plays blackjack, then he wouldn't be happy. Sure, he'd have a lot of money, he would blow it all, but he would end up being miserable. On the flip side, if you told that gambler, no matter how much you play, you're never going to win, again, he would become depressed. The thing that keeps the gambler's happiness and dopamine going is the fact that there's always a chance that he win, there's always a chance that he won't. And it's the same thing with your life. If you notice, the times you've been the happiest were the times you've been chasing success. It's the times you've been chasing improvement. And those times are the ones where you became virtuous. You became a better man. You had better characteristics. You grew. Because that's what truly fulfills you. Not making money, not getting more women, not having more friends. It's becoming more virtuous. And I'm the first to say this. I've made $2,000 a month I believe last month. Sorry, 2 months ago. I made $4,000 a month this last month. That's a 2 times increase in 1 month. Although it may not be a lot, once again, compared to the other YouTubers, it is a lot to me. And honestly, I can honestly say that hasn't made me happy. It's not. Because it's something external. And it can always increase, it can always decrease. And I found it very, very dangerous to play the game of letting my happiness and my value be determined by money or any other external circumstance. But when I look at the man I've become, more disciplined, being able to provide for my family, making my family proud, being able to inspire the friends around me and the people around me, maybe even you, that is what brings me joy. That's what makes me happy. So find a way to understand where you were, how far you've come, and who you've become to get here. And focus on that. Focus on continuing to grow who you are. Because this corny saying, it's not the destination, it's the journey, is more true than ever, especially for a young, ambitious man.